Hello, everybody. Today's first review is going to be of a show called The Defeated, which was on my Netflix list, and then I just added it to my long little notebook there of stuff that I've got to watch. So it all just depends on, again, kind of what I'm in the mood for, and I go back and forth between like horror, action, comedy, it all just depends on how I'm feeling that day, and so that's what I'll end up reviewing. But right now, I'm going to start Bob's Burgers. That might be a little bit of a longer adventure, so I might have to watch some stuff kind of in between seasons because, yeah, I've never actually watched the show before. So 16 seasons of Bob's Burgers is going to take some time. But today, we're talking about the show The Defeated, which I gave a 9 out of 10 to. So this is supposed to be just after World War II, where obviously the Nazis are defeated, and so Germany is kind of trying to. I guess the German people are trying to prove that they're not all evil, although obviously it's going to look that way, obviously, due to what happened in, as we know. Um, so actually, this show kind of shows like a little bit of the bad, I guess, on all sides, like even from like the Russians and the Americans, obviously what the Germans did, and then all the like underground groups that are forming like from people of all walks of life, I guess. And then his brother is obviously has like an underground group that he's working with to, I guess, kill all of the people that were put on the Nuremberg trial that are obviously getting away with the crimes that they committed. So he doesn't want like anybody who was involved with like anything the Nazis did to survive. So of course, our main character is on the hunt for his brother, because his brother wasn't supposed to even be like in the military, and they have a pretty intense past for sure. Both their parents are dead, and we find out later on in the show that unfortunately, their father shot their mother, and then it was Moritz that ended up shooting his dad. And so I guess the brothers were kind of on their own for most of their life, and then of course, obviously, Moritz ended up going on to the military, but I guess the papers that Max had sent never made it to the military. So Moritz had been actually, I guess, tested for schizophrenia and a whole bunch of other things. So he shouldn't even have been in the military at all with obviously the stuff that he had going on with him, right? So, yes, this was just after World War II. So I believe Germany itself was, now don't quote me on that because but I believe that Germany itself was divided into four sectors at this point in time. So I don't really know how like historically accurate this is because I've never heard the story before. So I think some of it was probably maybe a little bit possibly made up, but I'm not entirely sure. I guess we'll never really know because there's so much in history that you get told that might not be like to the T necessarily. So again, you got to take all these shows with like a little bit of, I guess, a grain of salt. But I mean, the show was still really good. So and again, Taylor Kitsch is just a phenomenal actor. He's definitely in my top five. So I have to say that. So yeah, Germany is divided into four sectors: the American, the Russian or Soviet sector, the French sector, and the British sector. Now, they never really, a lot of the people, I guess, I would say most of what they were speaking was German. I don't really know if they really like touch on much of the French sector at all. It seemed more to be like kind of like a small war between like the Russians and the German people still, obviously because they were, I guess, somewhat divided. And then obviously the Americans were trying to still kind of make their claim and I guess clean up whatever they hadn't already, right? Um, so I guess we'll go over the cast list so we know all the characters just before we get too much further into that. So yeah, but again, it mostly seemed like a war between like the Russian and the German people, and then again the Americans were in there as well, and then of course the police who were trying to get themselves established a little bit and kind of bring like some more law and order, obviously, back to their country. Um, but they were obviously hit with a few roadblocks along the way with some people that were clearly wanting to, have like another like a second uprising, right? And I guess this show kind of showed you like how much war actually um, pays, really, because everybody still wanted to sort of be fighting, because then that way, um, yeah, yeah, I guess they were making money essentially, is kind of the thing, or at least they were like taking out any chance of any competition that they were going to have. Right? It was kind of crazy. There was still like a war going on in the country of Germany because it was so divided still after the Second World War, at least in this storyline. That, yeah, there was still so much violence happening. It was kind of crazy. So we had Taylor Kitsch as Max McLaughlin, who was a New York City police. He worked for the NYPD, the New York City Police Department, and he was obviously sent to Germany to, I guess, kind of bring these guys, like the cops that were working there, uh, kind of some stability, I guess, and obviously help them out with whatever cases they needed help with, because I guess um, assault was a big thing in um, Germany, sexual assault being probably the number one, which is unfortunate because that just seems kind of crazy. Um, and there were some, obviously, I guess there were some American soldiers that had assaulted a woman, and then she ends up killing them. Now, um, I think it was, yeah, was it Karen? That was the one that I do believe. So we had Mala MD as Karen Mann, and I believe she was the what did they call her throughout the show? Was it? Oh my god, I can't. I'm trying to think exactly what they referred to her as in the show. But anyway, she was kind of after she was sexually assaulted, she went on to this other character that was supposed to help her out. Um, but we'll get into that a little bit more. So Michael C. Hall played Tom Franklin, who was the I guess the head of the U.S. Vice Consul. Um, he was really high up there anyway, as far as the Americans went, and he was kind of, I guess, in a sense, Max's boss. So we're at his residency quite a few times throughout the show, and we also visit the Russian military administration, and his brother is kind of leaving him clues throughout the entire thing. Like, I guess this one story that they read when they were kids was called uh, Mar and Morik, but because they kind of like, I guess, saw themselves in those characters, they named it Max and Moritz, but it was actually Mar and Morik was the German. I guess the German would have been the German language. Oh my god, what am I trying to say here? uh, yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that. I guess the German language, or the German writing of it, whatever. Oh my god, I've totally lost my train of thought there for whatever word I was trying to say. Then we had Logan Marshall Green as Moritz McLaughlin, Maximilian Enrich as Gad. He was a very young cop, like 16 years old. So for him to even be doing what he was doing was kind of truly like admirable for him at such a young age. And obviously he wanted to show that he could, he could do the job properly. Um, Nina Haas as Elise Green, uh, Ty Pence Middleton as Claire Franklin, Sebastian Coe as Dr. Werner, and he was Anglemaker or Angelmaker, Glado, as we, yeah, I guess Anglemaker would have been, or Angelmacher maybe, would have been the German spoken way to say it, right? I think, oh my god, I can't speak this morning for whatever reason. Benjamin Sadler as Leopold Garten, uh, Lena Dory as Trude, uh, Anne Ratty Doley as Marianne, and Ivan G. Vera as Alexander Izmov. And he was the Russian leader. And of course, he was a very shady character too. But at the end, he kind of had like a change of heart, I guess, and delivered. Uh, oh my God. It wasn't. No. He delivered Elisa's husband to her, right? Because, yeah, Leopold was her husband. I do believe. If I'm remembering these characters correctly, anyway, because I have them written down in such a weird order, but um, yeah, it was Elise that was the cop, and then Claire was Tom's wife, and unfortunately, uh, also Max had like a little bit of a thing for her and with her throughout the show, so nobody was really great in this show. I wouldn't say like everybody had like their kind of downfalls for sure in this show, and then of course, um, oh my God, where was I going with that? Um, Now, the Angel Maker character was the one they were trying to go after in the throughout the whole show. Obviously, the cops wanted to bring him down and his group because he recruited all these women, and when he did something for them, he expected something in return. So it got to the point where he was even recruiting people from the police station that Max was working at and trying to get them to take this bomb in and blow them up. Now, he does kill. Now, I believe that was it. I think it was Trude that was the one that he brought in to try to take the bomb back into the. Yeah, it was Trude that he tried to get to take the bomb back into the police station and blow everybody up, and then they had a whole bunch of people set up outside, so anybody who made it out was just going to get shot, and that was absolutely insane. So he had killed Trude, he had killed a whole bunch of other people, but they couldn't really prove it without any like hardcore evidence because he never was like, I guess you could say he was never really like officially involved in any of the actual killings. So it was kind of, you can't really pin the crimes on him, which was kind of weird. Um, Even though I think they did end up taking him away at the end of the show, uh, because I believe that he at least admitted enough that he was somewhat involved in some stuff. So, and I do believe that the Anne Christine Frederick was the one that they were looking for in the very beginning of the show. They had found her diary, and yeah, I believe they were trying to like clean up the streets from all of the assaults and stuff that were happening because they wanted to obviously have peace in their country, right? Like the war is over. You no longer want to have any more violence, right? And of course, obviously, with it being so divided, it was just kind of bound to happen. Like, not everybody's going to get along. Obviously, you know, one one group isn't going to trust the other, especially when they were all just in a war together, right? So it kind of does make it difficult. And then with his brother going around with that group, still taking out people. It was kind of crazy. Like he was chasing his brother the entire time too, and his brother was trying to manipulate him into helping. And eventually got to the point where he even found out that Tom was actually helping the Nazis out of the country uh, by selling like paintings and song lyrics and so on and so forth. Like it was actually kind of crazy that all this time he would seem to be wanting to help the Americans out and help Max, and he was trying to. Uh, who was he trying to frame for the? Oh my God, that's who I'm trying to think of. Like, who was it that he was trying to frame for the crime. Oh, geez, I thought I had that name written down somewhere. Maybe I do. I'm just not seeing it. But I guess I didn't. No, I should have written that name down. I swear to God I did. Hmm. That just seems odd that I didn't write down the name of the person that Tom was trying to frame for his own crimes. But I guess we know anyway that he was trying to frame somebody for those crimes, and it was weird seeing. It was weird seeing Michael C. Hall in that kind of a role because obviously we know him mostly as Dexter. So that was kind of cool. And Karen was definitely a crafty character. And who was the one that was? Oh my God! For some reason, I can't put a name to the older woman who was helping her. Oh no, it was Marianne that kind of brought her in, and then you know eventually she meets this Angel Maker character or the Doctor, right? And he's kind of a like intimidating figure for sure in the show, and obviously he has quite a huge hold on this group of women that he's brought in because they seem to want to do anything for him for the most part, and then eventually most of them just get killed in the crossfire, unfortunately, and probably shouldn't have listened to what he was saying in the first place because he was holding stuff over their head. And yeah, it was an unfortunate circumstance for all of them, I guess, because they believed in what he was trying to do, but at the end of the day, taking out everybody just because you think that you're going to be able to uh I guess it was kind of like obviously they still believed in you know I guess they wanted power still, essentially. I'm trying to say it without saying too much because I don't I don't want to get this video flagged or anything, right? So but clearly there were still people that believed in what was happening obviously during the war. So again, that's kind of a scary thought too, to think that there, even to this day, there are probably still people out there that would want to cause that kind of harm to people, and it's just absolutely insane. But anyway, I think I've pretty much covered everything I can about this show. There were some times though that even I thought Max might have been hallucinating his brother, but I guess he was always there, and it was kind of funny that his brother was there, especially when the military was even looking for him, uh, because you would think that he would be trying to hide, right? But it seemed like as he got closer with Max again, he just was showing up in certain places where you would be like, yeah, is this really a good idea for you? Because what if you get arrested? Like, they have to know what you're doing, right? Like, it's pretty obvious. So, um, yeah. But anyway, I did really thoroughly enjoy this show. There was quite a bit of, you know, some pretty gruesome scenes in this show for sure. And, yeah, just a really good storyline. And I'm not really sure how historically accurate this is. So maybe some other people might know, but I didn't really know anything about this part of the history. So yeah, it was kind of cool to see it for sure. But again, I think I pretty much covered everything I can. So I will see you guys in the next review. Bye bye for now.